Yeah, hi all. Today we are going to start the NeetCode 150 series, and today we'll solve the first question of this series, which is contains duplicate. It is marked as question number 217 on LeetCode. So let's see what the question says. It says given an integer array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, and return false if every element is distinct. So we have to see in the given array if any of the number is repeating. For example, here in the first one, we see the array is 1, 2, 3, 1. So 1 we are saying that it's repeating more than once. And for example, in example 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So none of the element is repeating. That means it should return false. Similarly, in the example 3, we have multiple elements that are repeating. 1 is repeating multiple times, 3 is repeating, even 4 is repeating. So we are returning true. So to solve this question, we have multiple approaches. In this video, we'll talk about three approaches. Uh, the first approach will be the brute force one. In the brute force approach, we'll see just we can write two nested for loops, and compare the elements appearing. So this approach will be O of n square, and the second approach will be sorting. We can just sort and compare the adjacent elements. Sort and compare adjacent. So this sorting will take O of n log n, and this compare will just take O of n. So the final time complexity will be O of n log n for this one. And we'll see the third approach also. The third approach will be hash maps. In this one, we'll just create a map. We'll store the elements into the map, and then we'll again iterate. We'll see that if while storing, we'll just keep on checking that if the element is already appearing or not. So here the complexity will be of n only. So if we talk about the first approach, if you want to see the code for first approach, it will be just like for the given array 1, 2, 3, 1. What we can do, we can just write a for loop from I equal to 0 to I is less than array dot size, and I plus plus will do. So here what we'll do, again we'll make one more for loop. For example, j equal to 0, j less than array dot size. 1 minute. And then j plus plus. Instead of starting from 0, what we can do, we can try this. We'll just start with the j I plus 1. So instead of this, we can just write j equal to I plus 1. We'll start with that one. So if any time we find array of I is equal to array of j, so this shows that we find a duplicate. So at the same moment, we will just return true. And if both the loops ended and we have not returned anything, so in that case, at the end we return false. Means we did not find any duplicate. So this will be the code for the first approach. And if we talk about the second approach, what we'll do, we'll first sort the array. Sort the array from begin to end. So here what we'll do, what the array, now after sorting, the array will become, after sorting the array will become 1 1 2 3. So what we can do, we can just iterate in the array now, and we'll check the adjacent element. For I equal to 0, I less than array dot size -1, cause we are going to compare the next elements, and I plus plus. Here what we'll do, we'll just check that f array of I is equal to array of I plus 1. So if any time we found this so if any time we found that array of I is equal to array of I plus 1, at the same moment what we'll do, we'll return true, cause we find two elements equal, means it has some duplicates. And at the end, if it came out of this loop, we'll just return false, means we did not find anything duplicate. And let's talk about the third approach. Third approach was related to hash maps. So what we'll do, we'll create a map first of integers, cause we have integers in given array, mp. What we'll do, we'll iterate inside the given array, I inside this given array, and we'll just check if we already have something inside the map already, means we have already inserted something. If map of I is something, we have already something, it's there in the same position, means we already found that element earlier. At that moment we'll return true directly. Otherwise what we'll do at the end, if we did not find, then we'll just insert mp of I plus plus. This is inside the else part, and once this loop got completed, we'll just return false. So this is how both three approaches will work. Now I'll write the code for all the three approaches on LeetCode as well. So for the first approach that we talked about is the brute force, this one. What the brute force was, basically we'll just iterate in the whole array, and again so if any point we found nums of I is equal to nums of j, means we found some duplicate, so at the same moment we'll return true. Otherwise, if the both loop ended, we'll return false in the end. So we'll now try to run this, and yeah, all the test cases are passing. Let's try to submit. It's showing TLE because we are solving in n square. In n square it's giving TLE, but the logic is correct. So now we'll optimize it. And the second approach that we talked about, which was sorting technique. Now we'll write the sorting code. So first we'll sort the array. Now what we have decided, we'll just compare the adjacent elements. So So already element is sorted, so we'll just compare the adjacent elements. So if nums of I is equal to nums of I plus 1, if any time the two adjacent, if the element where I am and the next element is equal, so we'll return true at the same time, otherwise I'll return false. Let's try to run this. The test cases are passing, and yeah, this is accepted. So this solution is getting accepted, and time complexity of this approach is n log n. So we have one more third approach which has the complexity of O of n that we talked right now, which is this one, map. We'll create a map. So we'll create a map of psi mp, and we'll just iterate inside this array, and we'll check if mp of I means in map, if for that position something is already inserted at the exact I position, means this same element we already have. So in this case we'll directly return true, means element is already there. Otherwise we'll just increase the counter at that element. We'll keep on doing this. Once we came out of the loop, if we did not return anything true, so at the end we'll return false, means it doesn't have any duplicate. Let's try to run. Yeah, test cases are passing, and accepted. C, this is also accepted. So this one is O of n. So here we saw 3 approaches. Total 3 approaches for the same solution contains duplicate. And so yeah, that's all for this question. And one more thing, like I'm solving the entire NeetCode 150 sheet in C++. So if you want to prepare for software engineering interviews and to want to the solution for all this NeetCode series, you can just subscribe to the channel. Thank you.